Tonight on CBC Vancouver News.
The feeling of not knowing if you can go home or when you can get home or what that looks like it is frustrating for sure.
Travel chaos at YVR, hundreds of flights canceled and passengers stranded as the Air Canada labor dispute drags on. Plus,
today's decision doesn't solve homelessness.
4 years and 3 court cases later, the city of Prince George gets the go-ahead to shut down a court-protected homeless encampment. And
let's not put gold-plated fixtures in, but let's just rebuild it, make it good for the players.
The BC Lions are upgrading their practice facility, but the future of the training grounds remains uncertain.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Hello, I'm Janella Hamilton. Thanks for joining us. We're in the final hours before more than 10,000 Air Canada flight attendants are poised to walk off the job. Hundreds of flights have already been canceled in preparation for the potential strike. Yasmin Khanea has the latest on the negotiations and the chaos.
Desperation as people try to catch flights before more than 10,000 Air Canada flight attendants could be off the job.
My flight got canceled to São Paulo and then they booked it again through Boston, US, but I don't have a visa to go through US.
Strike and lockout deadlines are fast approaching. Hundreds of flights have already been canceled, dashing the hopes of would-be travelers.
We were going to the farmers market, and then on our actual wedding anniversary, we were going to go on the whale tour and see the puffins.
Others are now stranded abroad, like Dan Clapson in Prague.
The feeling of not knowing if you can go home or when you can get home or what that looks like it is frustrating for sure.
Air Canada says it will be forced to ground almost all flights as of Saturday. The company says negotiations have reached an impasse. The union has rejected the airline's request for the federal government to intervene and force binding arbitration, instead saying it wants both sides to return to the table.
Why are they canceling your flights? We're at the table. We want to talk.
The main sticking points in negotiations are wages and unpaid work done before and after landing. Air Canada says it's offering some pay for that work. The union wants it to be at 100%.
The union thinks it will get more by striking, and maybe it could in the near term, but it's going to do a lot of damage to Air Canada's reputation.
The Minister of Jobs is urging both sides to come to an agreement, saying do not waste precious time. Canadians are counting on you. Back at the airport, some of those Canadians are already paying the price, like this band forced to cancel a performance across the country.
It's just devastating for sure. Like, you know, I want to play the gig. We don't have a lot of options, so, you know, let's do what we can, but it's not looking good.
That's Yasmin Khanea reporting. The Shishulth First Nation says ground-penetrating radar has identified more potential unmarked graves at the site of a former residential school. I spoke with Katie DeRosa about the latest development earlier.
Well, the nation, which is on the Sunshine Coast, says it used ground-penetrating radar to identify 41 more potential unmarked graves near the former St. Augustine residential school. The nation says the finding comes from an archaeological team that has been scanning the area for the last 18 months. Chief Lenora Joe says the discovery brings the number of suspected graves at the site to 81 after an initial finding 2 years ago. Now, several First Nations across Canada have used ground-penetrating radar and other methods to search the grounds of former residential school sites to get more answers on the number of deaths. It's important to note that ground-penetrating radar does not in itself find human remains, but detects soil disturbances inconsistent with the surrounding areas, which combined with oral history could point to potential grave sites. St. Augustine's residential school was operated by the Catholic Church between 1904 and June 1975. And so the nation says this is likely to bring up a lot of difficult emotions for people right now.
And Katie, how is the community reacting today?
Well, Chief Lenora Joe was not available for an interview today, but their announcement came with a video statement. And here's a bit of what the chief said.
We are deeply saddened, but these numbers are not a surprise to us. We have always believed our elders. Our families in the Shishel and First Nation communities across the country have always spoken of the children that never returned home.
And now Chief Joe says the nation is working with 53 other First Nations whose children attended the institution, including from other parts of BC and as far as way of Saskatchewan. Chief Joe said in her statement that there are survivors from other communities who don't want to come to Sechelt because of the trauma experienced from St. Augustine's. Another nation whose children attended the institution includes the Tla'amin First Nation, and they said in a statement today the findings confirm what their people have always known, which is that many children did not make it home. The National Center for Truth and Reconciliation estimates that at least 4,100 children died at residential schools across the country.
Thank you, Katie. That's Katie DeRosa reporting. The city of Prince George has won a bid to close a downtown homeless encampment first established in 2021. The city lost 2 previous court cases trying to shut it down. It was unable to persuade judges there were enough indoor spaces for the unhoused. Now the city says it has rapidly scaled up its supportive housing efforts in recent years, creating dozens of living spaces for those in need.
Today's decision doesn't solve homelessness. We've done good work to strengthen the system, whether that's extreme weather sheltering options, whether it's additional drop-in spaces or these rooms that we're talking about, but we know that more needs to be done.
The city will keep the encampment open until everyone currently living there gets housing. It will also continue to allow overnight camping at a smaller site, which residents will have to vacate at 9 each morning. A teacher at Pitt Meadows Secondary has been charged with internet luring of a child and child pornography-related offenses. The school's principal has sent out a letter to parents saying the teacher was removed from his duties once the district became aware of the allegations. Mira Baines has the details.
The Maple Ridge and Pitt Meadows School District confirms serious criminal charges have been laid against Lavesh Ramsaha, who is teaching at Pitt Meadows Secondary. Ramsaha has been charged with 4 offenses, including internet luring of a child under 18, making or publishing child pornography, importing or distributing child pornography, and making explicit material available to a child under 18. The prosecution service says all 4 counts date from August 1st, 2024 to February 18th of this year. The BC Teachers Registry shows that he has not been teaching since this March. The school's principal, Colin Sharp, sent out a statement to families that says, "I can share with you that as soon as the district became aware of the allegations against Mr. Ramsaha, we took immediate steps in accordance with the School Act and district policy. Mr. Ramsaha was removed from his duties and has not been working in the district since that time." Due to privacy reasons and pending criminal charges, few details have been released. Ramsaha is not being held in custody. His next court appearance is scheduled for Thursday next week. Mira Baines, CBC News, Vancouver.
The Mount Underwood wildfire near Port Alberni continues to burn, with the out-of-control blaze now covering more than 34 square kilometers. Residents of nearby Bamfield have been without power since Monday, and smoke from the fire has caused air quality warnings for much of the island and the Sunshine Coast. Julia Wong is in Port Alberni. I spoke with her earlier.
Well, what I can tell you is, these conditions that we see and that you might be able to hear around me, this has all been very good for the fire. We have those soggy conditions and temperatures have been cooler. And what we heard from BC Wildfire is that fire crews are really taking advantage of the weather right now. This rain started to fall yesterday, and they say that has really limited the wildfire's growth. It's limited the wildfire's behavior. And the rain and cooler temperatures, that combination of the two, have really moderated fire behavior. Because because of that, crews have actually been able to access areas that they hadn't been able to get to before because they were too dangerous. So this is very much advantageous. The conditions that we're seeing right now, they're hoping to use that to their advantage to be able to get a handle on this particular wildfire. Up to 33 millimeters of rain is expected today, and more rain is expected in the coming days. And BC Wildfire says all that adds up to be a good thing.
Ultimately, the amount of rain that we get over this 4 or 5 day period will determine the long-term trajectory of this fire. So there's still a lot of work to do. There's a lot of fire perimeter that needs to get worked by our crews and by heavy equipment for us to get to a point where we're confident that this fire won't spread.
Now, the focus of crews right now is that northwest corner of the wildfire. This is the part of the fire that's closest to the China Creek campground, as well as the city of Port Alberni. Now, that fire, as you mentioned off the top, is holding at around 34 square kilometers. Poor visibility and these poor conditions that you see here around me, well, that's really limiting crews' ability to be able to get an updated size of the fire.
So, Julia, do fire officials say this rain is going to make a significant dent?
Yeah, what we heard from them yesterday is that they are expecting this to help them in their firefight, that they're seeing advantages to some of the moisture that we're seeing, but they have been very careful to say, even though we're getting that chunk of rain today, it's not going to be enough to put that wildfire out. But what they are also saying is that, this fire, we've seen, poor visibility. The air quality here has been a little rough because of all the smoke billowing off of that wildfire. And that is really getting in people's way. We've been here at the waterfront at Port Alberni all day, really, talking to people here down at the quay. And there are many businesses here, they have patios or they use open windows to be able to serve people. They say that because of the air quality and all that smoke that we saw today and continue to see today, they decided to take some measures and close down their doors for the day because they were worried about the health and safety of their workers. Here's what one business owner had to say.
Keep our front window open to serve the customers. Unfortunately, that's not possible. Today, definitely the quality of the air is pretty bad, and that's not the ideal neither for me or for my employees.
Steve Jang joins us now with a look at the weather. Steve?
Well, Janella, as we've been hearing, it's been a very wet one today, and we are expecting that to remain the case as we head into the overnight hours and also into Saturday morning. More rain is on the way. The amount really varies depending on where you are, but if we take a look at the map here, you'll see those patches of yellow and orange that sometimes form on the map. Those are the areas where the heavier amounts are expected. Again, it kind of varies a lot by region, but over the course of today here in Metro Vancouver, because of the heavy rainfall that we've been experiencing, 50 millimeters locally in some places, and in those higher places of higher elevation, we saw amounts close to about 80 millimeters in places like Squamish and also the North Shore. But because of the cooler, wetter weather, we're also expecting temperatures to remain fairly cool over the next day or so, as we can see here, 19 in Vancouver. More on that and the forecast later in the show.
All right, thanks so much, Steve.
My pleasure.
July was another good month for residential real estate in Canada. The latest figures from the Canadian Real Estate Association show home sales rose 3.8% on a month-over-month basis from June, with transactions up a cumulative 11.2% since March. The data also shows that while sales are up, home prices remained virtually the same over the last year. Tonight, the first regular season WNBA game to be played outside the U.S. is taking place right here in Vancouver. To celebrate, the Vancouver Park Board has painted the WNBA three-point line on outdoor courts across the city.
This Line 'em Up initiative aims to bring the women's professional game closer to communities by painting the WNBA three-point line on outdoor basketball courts. Because, as we know, with women's sports, visibility matters.
The lines have been painted at 5 courts, including Kingcrest, Hastings Community, and Queen Elizabeth Parks. Tonight's game at Rogers Arena is between Seattle Storm and Atlanta Dream. The search for BC's best symbol has come to an end. After the break, we'll reveal the winner and why people think it best represents this province.
This is Vancouver is a new CBC podcast where we explore the issues, the stories, and the people that make this place home. Listen to This is Vancouver wherever you get your podcasts.
The BC Lions are upgrading their Surrey practice facility, but as Liam Britton reports, there's some uncertainty about the future of the site.
Since 1991, the BC Lions have practiced here, next to Surrey's Tom Binney Park. And the facilities are showing their age. Tell me a bit about this carpet here. This is,
Well, you know, it makes you want to cringe, but it's old. You better watch yourself there.
But improvements are taking shape. The strength and conditioning equipment is housed in an outdoor tent now to make room for upgrades, though the facility's future is up in the air. You see, this is city-owned land leased to the team at about $280,000 annually during the current 5-year term, ending in 2027. The city is mulling a, quote, state-of-the-art stadium or arena in city center, with Tom Binney discussed as a possible location.
We just need to know what the plans are, and then whatever those plans are, we will then start to discuss those potential futures when that time comes.
Vino says owner Amar Doman is done waiting, so he's paying for upgrades to the facility, even though they may not be enjoyed by the team long.
We finally just said enough is enough. Let's not put, gold-plated fixtures in, but let's just rebuild it, make it good for the players, and that's what we're doing.
Councillor Linda Annis says council is waiting for a feasibility study from staff about the possible arena, but she hopes the Lions stay in town.
It draws a lot of people into Surrey City Centre, which is great. It's great for businesses that are located here as well.
The feeling appears mutual.
Our players live in the area. It's close to the SkyTrain. It's able to get them to wherever they need to be. So it's been a very good home for us, and we hope it will continue to be our home.
But ask these superfans watching practice, and they'll say a change of address wouldn't necessarily be offside.
Obviously, that's a very, very expensive thing to do, but hopefully that should be sorted out in a few years.
The city says it's committed to working closely with the Lions as arena planning and related development move forward. Liam Britton, CBC News, Surrey.
What's black, white, and popular all over the province? Well, after 5 weeks and 500,000 votes, we have found BC's best symbol. Justin McElroy now with our winner.
It's black, white, and the best symbol in British Columbia.
I love orcas.
They're so iconic.
It is amazing to see them. My grandson is 2 and he goes, "The whales, the whales."
So, how do you choose the best symbol in British Columbia? For more than 300 submissions from across BC, we created a list of 64 iconic symbols of this province and divided them into animals, parts of nature, symbols of the coast, and symbols of the rest of the province. The Orca defeated the raven and sea otter to start out. It then bested the provincial bird and the Steller's jay and the provincial mammal and the spirit bear. In the semifinals, it defeated the provincial tree, the western red cedar, and then in the final, emerged triumphant over the mighty totem pole. The best symbol in BC, the Orca. But why?
People are so powerfully moved by them.
A big part is just how they look. Big but sleek, agile but playful, that distinct color contrast cutting against the blue ocean. But another part is their journey over the last 100 years, from criminals of the sea to a symbol of BC's natural world.
They're an indicator of the health of the entire province.
Which means that it's a tenuous symbol. The type of orca most associated with BC, the southern resident, now numbers just 73 in population.
It reflects the interconnectedness of the entire province. They rely on the salmon from BC's rivers and streams, which then rely on the forests.
The last 4 summers, Lauren Laternis has come to Saturna Island as part of her master's program studying environmental science. Every day she monitors the animal population through this part of the Salish Sea. Aside from one day this summer, there's been no sightings of the southern resident orca.
It is a bit worrying because this is their traditional habitat and their summer foraging, their homes.
Orcas are at the mercy of their unique environment. They're also intelligent, communal, a symbol of strength and beauty, making them a pretty amazing creature and a pretty good symbol of this place we call British Columbia. Justin McElroy, CBC News, Sydney.
Some showers in Tofino today. Steve will have your full province-wide forecast coming up. In Alaska, U.S. President Donald Trump and Russia's President Vladimir Putin ended their meeting without a deal on the war in Ukraine. But the presidents both suggested it was a productive meeting with some progress made. Ashley Burke now on what the two sides are sharing.
Donald Trump clapping as an accused war criminal steps onto American soil. After invading Ukraine, Russia's president sanctioned, shunned, and shut out by much of the Western world. But now Vladimir Putin on a red carpet in one of the most powerful countries on earth.
President Putin, will you stop killing civilians?
The spectacle of this all, a powerful visual for Putin back home. But Trump said it was critical to meet face-to-face to try and end the war.
Mr. Putin, will you agree to a ceasefire?
Before these talks even began, Trump was clear. He wanted Putin to agree to a ceasefire and fast.
Let's go.
Journalists from around the world quickly moved out as the doors closed and talks began.
Everybody get out of the room!
After almost 3 hours of suspense, the two leaders suddenly emerged, Putin speaking first. Russia's president saying he hopes the agreement they reached will help pave the path towards peace in Ukraine.
There's no deal until there's a deal.
Trump didn't say what, if anything, was agreed on.
But we had an extremely productive meeting, and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not that significant. One is probably the most significant. But we have a very good chance of getting there. We didn't get there.
No specifics, no mention of a ceasefire, and no talk of that second meeting Trump was after to bring in Ukraine's president too.
We'll speak to you very soon and probably see you again very soon. Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one.
In a rare move, Trump didn't stay to answer reporters' questions. Said he's getting on the phone, and what happens next is up to Ukraine. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Washington.
Talks at the UN in Geneva aimed at reducing plastic pollution have collapsed. Nearly 100 countries had hoped to negotiate a treaty. Jennifer Yoon has more on what happened.
Plastic pollution is in landfills, oceans, even our bodies. But at the United Nations, another attempt to curb plastic waste has failed, with countries clearly divided.
It is so decided.
3 years ago, diplomats agreed to create a legally binding treaty to end plastic pollution. But 6 rounds of negotiations later, optimism is fading.
A treaty without production measures will be built on sand.
The majority of countries gathered, including Canada, want a cap on plastic production. But oil and gas nations like Saudi Arabia and the United States blocked that. Most plastics are created from fossil fuels.
The discussion did not include recycling and waste management.
They want to focus on better design and recycling instead, despite only 9% of plastics being recycled globally, according to researchers. I'm angry because a small handful of oil-producing countries have blocked a treaty, says France's Minister for Energy Transition. Environmental groups are upset, too.
Consensus is dead. Every day we fail to agree an effective treaty, more people are suffering.
It's been found in the blood, in the lungs, in the heart.
Scientists have found microplastics throughout the human body, and they're just discovering how harmful it is for human health.
I don't think there's any question that these are having effects on our body, immunologically, etc.
The chemicals companies add to plastics to make them softer, colorful, or more flexible are also linked to health problems.
10 to 15% of cardiovascular disease can be attributable to plastics exposure.
It's unclear what comes next in the talks. They may resume in yet another session. Canada says it supports that. Some suggest the countries that want to cap new plastic production may break off and try to do so on their own. Jennifer Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
The Canada Strong Park Pass opened the gates this summer, offering free admission to the country's national parks and historic sites. But as Sophia Harris reports, with more visitors come more challenges, and not everyone's celebrating.
Canada has everything.
Ottawa billed the Canada Strong Pass as a way for Canadians to more easily see their country.
All summer long for free.
The pass includes free entry to national parks and a 25% discount for camping.
Nothing's available.
But this Halifax couple says the pass makes seeing Canada more difficult because when they tried in June to book a July camping trip at a nearby national park, they were out of luck.
I anticipated with the Canada Strong Pass there'd be a higher demand for these campsites, but I didn't anticipate that it would be such a demand that everything was sold out.
Increased demand this summer also means more traffic. Banff, home to Banff National Park, is on track for a record-breaking year in traffic volume.
We are so glad that people can connect with their national park system, but we do know that we cannot handle that volume of vehicles into the long term.
Prince Edward Island National Park is reporting record numbers of visitors and at times full parking lots. The park is also pleading with visitors to stay off the environmentally sensitive sand dunes.
This year with parks being free, it is overcrowded. If you're going to invite the whole world here for free, you should be ready for it.
But Parks Canada says the crowds are well managed and nothing new.
We've been experiencing 8 consecutive years of higher than normal visitation. Connecting visitors to those sites is part of our mandate, so we happily welcome people.
As for this couple, they have another beef. International tourists also get free admission to Canada's parks this summer.
It's not just a canyon, it's the grandest canyon.
But the U.S. plans to introduce a surcharge next year for foreigners visiting its national parks.
The national parks will be about America first.
So it's a bit of a kick in the pants to Canadians.
Even so, there are no signs Ottawa will introduce a similar fee. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Toronto.
7 years, 700 mines, one historic liftoff. It was a groundbreaking moment in northern Quebec where a student-built rocket launched from Cree land. As Quebin Oduro reports, the project marks a powerful partnership that could help shape the future of Canada's space endeavors.
A moment of pride after years of work.
Now that was the largest student-built rocket ever flown.
And that was the first space launch on Canadian soil in more than 25 years. And it wasn't carried out by the Canadian Space Agency. It was the work of some students from Montreal. And they did it 700 kilometers north in Cree territory with the help of the local community.
We're so super proud to just represent Canada and also, you know, the Quebec province as a whole in aerospace.
Here's what it's all about. This is the Star Sailor. It was built for a science competition that started in 2018, but because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it was canceled. The desire to complete the project, though, remained.
Through COVID, you know, students had to even test the engine for leaks in their own bathtubs.
More than 700 students worked on the project. The 42-foot-long rocket weighs about 800 kilograms with fuel and took 7 years to build. As for where to launch, the students needed a location far from any populated areas. The students first reached out to the Cree Nation of Mississini to use their land roughly 6 months ago.
And I think we saw it as an opportunity to be a part of that, be a part of something that historic, but an opportunity also to collaborate.
After getting the rocket on location, it was time to find a launch window. 2 attempts were canceled due to unfavorable weather conditions.
We've been sleeping in tents for about 3 weeks, going through freezing rain, snow, crazy winds, huge temperature swings, and being eaten alive by black flies. We wouldn't be doing this if we didn't love it.
But on Friday, August 15th at 5:34 a.m., Star Sailor had what's being considered a successful takeoff.
Definitely did not reach space. But still, we really think this is a super successful mission, even though it didn't, reach the goal altitude.
Space Concordia members will be studying the data on how high the rocket went, how it disassembled, which parts went wrong, and when.
The greatest impact of this launch is maybe not on a fundamental scientific level. Technologically, it's that we are able to do this here. We are able to do this in Canada. It is being done by students, and I hope this message gets heard by everybody around Canada.
Coming up, preschoolers in Victoria are making tiny sculptures at a woodworking workshop for cognitive and creative growth. More on what they're making next.
So I know when I really like a song, if within the first 3 seconds, I'm already vibing to it.
Hey, I'm Rohith Joseph. Vibin' is the new show all about discovering great new songs and fresh artists from across BC and beyond.
It's not one person dictating what good music is, it's the community sharing what good music is.
Stream Vibin' on CBC Listen.
Steve Jung is back with a look at our BC-wide forecast. Steve, it's a bit soggy out there.
That's absolutely the case, Janella, and it's going to stay soggy as we get into the overnight hours. We're currently seeing still some more rain falling in our region, but earlier today we actually got some pretty significant amounts. We can see here from this map right here. In some parts of Metro Vancouver, we saw about 50 millimeters of rain, but in those areas with higher elevations, so think Squamish, Gibsons, the North Shore, also Coquitlam and Maple Ridge, upwards of maybe even 80 millimeters of rain there. We also heard that about 30 to 35 millimeters of rain fell in Port Alberni, where the Mount Underwood fire is currently burning. So that was a big relief for crews still trying to fight the Mount Underwood fire. It was an opportunity for them to get to those harder to reach areas, and also actually it helped limit the fire growth on that particular blaze. So the rain was definitely a good sign for the province today. We're also seeing more rain heading towards the south coast for Saturday. Sunday, it actually kind of tapers off and becomes a bit more scattered, and that's when temperatures actually warm up a little bit. But when we get to Monday, we'll see more rain make it towards mostly the north and northeast parts of the province, but also parts of the north and central coast as well. It's also been pretty helpful for the air quality because of wildfire smoke from, as we can see right there, the Mount Underwood fire near Port Alberni. The smoke and haze forecast is actually looking a little bit better than it did the past couple of days. This is as the rain falls through the atmosphere, it picks up some of those smoke particles and carries it to the ground. The smoke was actually initially forecast to affect parts of the Sunshine Coast. That's actually changed, but special air quality statements still in effect for eastern and inland parts of Vancouver Island. As we can see here, temperatures to remain fairly cool over the next day or so because of the wetter weather, but it does warm up just a little bit in places as it begins to taper off and kind of move away. The south and southeast parts of the province still remain the hottest and driest for sure. For the south coast tomorrow, mostly cloud cover and a chance of rain over much of the region. We can see here in Lytton, Whistler, Squamish, and also in Vancouver, rainy conditions for Saturday. We'll see that persist for some of Sunday, but that's, again, when we expect to see the rain kind of taper off and move on a little bit. Let's take a look at the 5-day forecast, though. Chance of showers for Saturday and Sunday in Metro Vancouver. Cloudy on Monday. We'll see a mix of cloud on Tuesday and Wednesday. Temperatures for the most part in the low 20s as we get to midweek. So we're seeing it get a little bit cooler as we head to next week.
All right, thanks so much, Steve.
My pleasure.
In a Forest Place school on Vancouver Island, Darren Bertuccio uses reclaimed wood and real tools to teach preschoolers the art of independence, creativity, and sustainability, one tiny sculpture at a time. Take a look.
I don't think the children see me as a teacher. They only see me in the wood shop, and they only know me as Darren in the wood shop. Every morning, I pack up my cargo bike with all my tools, all my wood, my ground tarp, my bench, and I set up my wood shop. And that's where we spend the day together outside making things. I remembered looking at fine woodworking magazines and looking at the back page, and you could see other people's projects, and I could feel like my heart was pounding. I was so excited. I started to crave working with my hands. I stepped away from the oil and gas industry to study fine furniture making, where I began my custom furniture making practice for about 15 years until the arrival of my first child. It was an immediate impact to my hours I could put into my craft, and it was at that point that I decided I should stay at home and be a stay-at-home father. I just always had this kind of itch to be closer to wood. The smell, the warmth of it in your hands, the workability of it, nothing sort of holds form like wood does. That's the setup. The Tree of Life Nature Play School was a school that we wanted my youngest to go to. It's a neighborhood school associated directly with play and being very close to nature. The drop-offs became longer and longer, and I knew all the kids, and they gravitated towards me, and I just loved playing with them. I think the director saw something in me that would align with what they're doing, and yeah, it was a total surprise when she asked me if I could join the team, and humbly I said, sure, I would love to give it a go. Yeah. Oh, a little bit more. Here. My role as Darren in the Woodshop is to give the children a chance to take some risks with the tools and make whatever they want. What are you thinking?
A shoe.
A shoe? Okay. There are such things as wooden shoes, you know. Very good, Aunt.
It's my first wooden shoe.
Giving the kids real tools tells them that I trust them, and they rise to the occasion, and they love that.
We need another one.
You are so silly. I mean, I tried in the beginning to formulate what was happening by bringing birdhouse kits and things that were sort of already pre-planned, but what they would do is just start reassembling it in a way that you wouldn't expect, upside down and sideways. So I just kind of gave up on that. The less that I interfere, the better it turns out. The children are learning a lot by woodworking with me in the play school. It builds resiliency, builds their confidence, problem solving, creativity, freedom of expression, all those things that they can carry through to older years. It's a hand-mind-body connection that doesn't involve technology. Good. And that's why it's so good for young children. Can you get in there by yourself? Now you have two-letter T's.
We like making tea.
I noticed that. It's a long T.
Why?
You made a big long T.
Yeah.
Wherever we set up, if there's a cedar around, it said, do you see that cedar tree? Well, this is a kind of wood that you could get out of that cedar tree. Do you remember what we said about the lines and what that means? So you are how old, Elias? 4?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4. But look how many years this tree has been around, and that's only a piece of it. So this came from a very old tree. But we don't think about it when it's in a board form from the lumberyard, but we just kind of try and slow down and really appreciate what it is we're looking at. The little sculptures are so raw and real and modern. I had this box of creations that the children were making, and you look at them and I thought, you know, people should see this. Like, the world should see what these kids can do when given a chance. That kind of spurred the idea of these woodworking shows, this annual showcase of the kids' work. Once everything was up, it was mind-blowing. These works were hung with descriptors, white walls. It's as good as any art show that I've ever been to. The creativity is something that just flows out of them like water. I think you have that purity and then you lose it, and then it's not until to a very old age where you get it back again, where you don't care anymore what anybody thinks. It really blows your mind what they come up with.
What do bat wings look like? What do they want to actually make it out of wood?
Well, we could do the body out of wood, and then we could do wings out of felt material. Creating these small sculptures with the children remind me what they're capable of, and not only that, but what we're all capable of. And it just gives me hope. It gives me hope for mankind. I'm doing my part to help them blossom, if you want, and just thinking about them taking that forward and then spreading that message. I think it's important work, and you know, I'm really lucky to be where I am.
It's the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II. Among those who sacrificed their lives, some from the Chinese-Canadian community. More on how veterans are commemorating their contribution when we return.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC inbox.
CBC is a proud sponsor of the Vancouver Latin American Film Festival. This 11-day festival celebrates the art of contemporary Latin American, Latin Canadian, and Indigenous filmmaking. Tickets at vlaff.org. And CBC Musical Nooners are the perfect summer escape. Wednesdays at noon at the CBC Outdoor Stage. Everyone is welcome. The last show of the season is August 20th.
Well, late summer in the Okanagan is known for sagging cherry tree branches and a surge of roadside fruit stands.
Jacqueline Jeleno visited a farmer's market many Kelowna locals consider a connection to home.
Long lines at a small Latin market in Kelowna mean the Okanagan harvest season is in full swing. Temporary foreign workers wait in the colorful shop to buy imported products from their childhoods. From sweet candy to spicy chilies and laundry detergent, and to send funds home to their families. Running the show is Sandra Zahuna, who in 2003 left Mexico to work on one of the region's first farms to employ temporary foreign workers. Her job was to bridge the gap between the farm's owners and workers by acting as a translator and coordinator.
We start in a parking lot.
Word of Zahuna's efficient money transfers and access to familiar foods spread quickly from field to field. For years, Zahuna made weekly trips to farms across the Okanagan with a vehicle full of Mexican goods, helping migrant workers send money back home to their families.
The word spread, so then more people wait for me, and then it was one time that I was like, no, this cannot continue like that. We need a place.
So Zahuna opened Sands Latin Market in 2013, and now every morning in fruit picking season, often before the store even opens, there's a long line of migrant workers waiting for her.
Venimos a la tienda aquí a sacar dinero y venimos a depositar allí a la gente, nosotros, a la familia.
Domestic agricultural labor shortages have resulted in a national reliance on temporary foreign workers. While more than 70,000 seasonal foreign workers were employed on Canadian farms in 2022, more than 28,000 agricultural jobs still went unfilled. The council expects the labor gap and the amount of food left unharvested at the end of each season will increase over the next 5 years.
They are a very important part of the food system. They should be more visible.
Zahuna does more than run a business. She connects people with services and supports when they need help. She wants locals to recognize the humanity behind the harvest and hard work that migrant workers do.
Every one of them, they have a story, they have a family, they leave everything for a better life, of course.
Jacqueline Jeleno, CBC News, Kelowna.
This year marks the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War.
And here in Vancouver, Chinese Canadians honored those who served in the war and reflected on their contribution.
Today we are commemorating a very important event of the 80th anniversary of the World War II. So this is a very important occasion to remember those people who sacrificed their lives for our freedom and also for our country. And I'm hoping as the honorary captain of the Navy, you know, this legacy, this tradition will continue to prevail.
It celebrates the service of Chinese Canadians and all other Canadians during World War II, but specifically for us down here, it's about Chinese Canadians. And, you know, during World War II, the Chinese Canadians weren't really invited to join the service. And we weren't citizens, we didn't have the vote. So there was a lot of Canadian-born Chinese that volunteered to serve with the hope that somewhere down the road we would be given those rights. I think everybody has a bigger recognition of victory in Europe, which is earlier in the year, and victory in Japan and victory in the Pacific is more of an afterthought. It's not as well recognized, where, you know, the big events around victory in Europe and not so much victory in Japan. So, you know, I think they're of equal importance because really victory in the Pacific really signaled the end of World War II. Victory in Europe just symbolized the end of war in Europe, but not across the globe.
Well, thanks for being with us tonight on CBC Vancouver News. You can watch this newscast for free on our free CBC Gem, as well as on YouTube and our website at cbc.ca/BC.
I will have your next local news at 11 o'clock right after the National. Have a great weekend.